Or what is going on, guys? UFC 318, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3 has just ended, and this is going to be a full card post-fight reactions, excluding the first fight of the night I did not watch. These three fights here, kind of only watched the highlights of it. But we have Bruno Ferreira versus Jackson McVeigh. This fight, mostly Bruno Ferreira on the feet. Not much happened in this fight, though, to be honest. Mostly Bruno Ferreira on the feet. They get into a scrambling situation. Bruno gets McVeigh down and rolls for an armbar. For a second, I thought he was going to slip off the back. Rolls for an armbar. Gets the armbar. I think it was a belly down armbar, if I remember correctly. So good. Well, I don't want to say good win for Bruno Ferreira. He did what he was supposed to do of an opponent of that caliber. Bruno Ferreira was supposed to go through there, steamroll Jackson McVeigh, get him out of there, and he did. Not much to say about that fight. Moving up, again, not much to say about this fight either. Ryan Spann went out there and did almost what I thought he was going to do. So, I had Ryan Spann first round KO, gets the guillotine over Lucas Bresky. They need to cut Bresky from the UFC. I think he's got like 1 or 2 wins. Is Walter Walker one of the wins? I think Walter Walker is one of the wins. I have to check now. And Walter Walker ever since has been on a tear. Man, it's going to look really bad on Walker. Of course, it's not going to load now. But nonetheless, this win means nothing for Ryan Spann. Okay, you beat some other bum at heavyweight. He lost his last fight via, I think it was knockout. Was it to Acosta? Cortez Acosta? He needs a few more wins before he can get any ranked opposition and a few better wins than Lucas Bresky. Let's see if it loaded. It did load. It's going to be down here. Load. It's not going to load. I'm pretty sure he beat Walter Walker. Anyway, moving on. We got Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachnio. The only fight I got wrong on the early prelims and the prelims, I got the entire main card wrong. Entire main card predicted that wrong. I feel like an idiot. But we'll get into that later. Jimmy Crute goes out there and gets the first round submission over Marcin Prachnio. The one time I don't pick Jimmy Crute, which I don't know if I picked him in his last fight. I might have. I can't remember. But the time I don't pick him, I was really leaning heavily towards picking him before I made that video. But I'm like, because Prachnio's older. He's significantly older. Jimmy Crute's still in his late 20s. I thought he might have the grappling advantage, which obviously he did. He got the submission. I just thought, you know, he hasn't won a fight, and I think they said since 2020 or 2021. I can't remember when they said. He hasn't won a fight in 4 or 5 years. He always finds a way to fumble the fight, but in this one, was able to get the submission over Marcin Prachnio. Prachnio looked decent on the feet, clipping Jimmy Crute up. I would say was mostly went on the feet. Crute was landing a little bit, but not much. But was able to get Prachnio down, and he couldn't get back up and get the submission. Moving up the card. A lot of finishes, by the way, on this card, at least in the early prelims. We have Adam Fugit versus Islam Dulatov. Not much to say about this fight. Dulatov went out there. It was a pretty uncompetitive fight. Fugit landed a little bit, not much. Didn't really land anything clean. Dulatov goes out there, gets him out of there in the first round, knocks him out. Woke him up after he knocked him out, dropped him, hit him with a couple punches, and he woke back up. So, again, one of those fights where, you know, there's a few on this card, and some of them dropped the ball big time, where the UFC is trying to set them up for, you know, we're giving you a fighter, an opponent, and you're meant to go out there and dispatch them. And that's what Islam, I don't like him Ismail. I don't know why I want to keep calling him that. Islam Dulatov did, and went out there and he can go do his modeling gig next week. Moving up the card, opening up the prelims. We have Abatea Gutierrez. I cannot say his name. They said it multiple times. I can't remember. Versus Robert Valentin. Good fight, great fight for Gutierrez. Valentin just took constant damage. Didn't really land anything at all. Gutierrez, we're just going to call him that, essentially came out straight away, landed heavy shots on Robert Valentin, hurt him badly, had him wobbling all over the cage, probably for about the whole minute and 10 seconds that the fight lasted. Valentin kept waving him on, got finished in the first round. Same to Gutierrez's last opponent. I can't remember the guy's name, but waved him on, gets knocked out. Same thing happens to Robert Valentin. Cut Robert Valentin from the UFC. Again, it's almost not a good look because I'm pretty sure the guy's last opponent got cut as well. It's not a good look when they're building a guy up. He's going out there destroying people, which, I mean, again, this is another one of those fights. They gave him, for Valentin, this was his last chance. If he wanted to stay in the UFC, he needed to get a win here. Couldn't do it. But there's one of those instances where he kind of has a name. I'm going to say that super lightly. He doesn't really have a name. Losing in his last fight to Torres Finney kind of gave him the name he has, even though he was on The Ultimate Fighter and lost. Just because all Torres Finney did was just wrestle him. And that's all he did. And he couldn't stop the wrestling. So, but yeah. Gutierrez went out there and dispatched him. Looked good. He took no damage. They need to get him back in there. When we have fighters like this that take no damage, are in exciting fights, they need to get him back in there as soon as that fighter is willing to. Can't wait to see his next fight. Really would like to see him have a step up in competition in his next fight. Moving up the card. Honestly, so we got Francisco Prado versus Nikolai Veretnikov. I picked Veretnikov to win. I thought Prado won the fight. Second and third round. First round, Prado doing good on the feet. If I remember correctly, it's been a long night. Veretnikov clipped him, dropped him. I think Prado took him down in the round. Veretnikov was able to get back up. Hurt. Or is this the second round? I'm getting it all confused. Oh, boy. The first round, yes, he dropped Prado. Clipped him, hurt him, dropped him. Second round, Prado came back and won. I'm going to pull up the official scorecard. I'm pretty sure the judges gave first and third to Veretnikov, even though I thought the third round went to Prado. Let me pull up the scorecard on my phone. Because I thought, second round, Prado came back, was able to implement a little bit of the grappling, and I thought clearly win the second round. Okay, here we go. So we got one judge gave it rounds 2 and 3 for Prado. That's how I scored the fight. The other two judges gave first and second to Veretnikov and the third round to Prado. I thought it was clear second and third round for Francisco Prado, especially the third round, in my opinion, I thought was really clear for him. He was landing good shots, pressing the pace on Veretnikov, and he even looked fresher in the third round than Veretnikov did. So I don't agree with the decision on this one. I'm not going to go back and rewatch it. But I thought Francisco Prado did enough to get it done. But the judges didn't see it that way. It was a split decision. One judge, I guess, did see it that way. But yeah, not much to say about that. Not much else to say about that. Moving up the card, we have Marvin Vettori versus Brendan Allen. I'm pretty sure it was a unanimous decision. I don't think there's any way you could give Vettori. Yeah. What? Okay, one judge did give the second round to Marvin Vettori. That was probably the most competitive round. First round, Allen landed decent on the feet, is able to get Vettori down. I thought, we're going to have a quick night here. I thought he looked like he was going to submit Marvin Vettori. Vettori is eventually able to get back up to his feet. They have a good scrap throughout the rest of that first round. If I'm being 100% honest, I think there was one point, I can't remember if he hurt Allen or if he just ended up on bottom in a scramble, but I think Allen ended up on bottom at some point in that first round, and I thought is he really going to like give up like he does in a lot of his fights? Like he'll get into a bad position and just accept bottom and lose the round. But he was able to get back up in that first round and secure the rest of that round and win. He was outstriking Marvin Vettori essentially the majority of the fight. Doing pretty good in the striking department. Landing really good shots. Never dropped Marvin Vettori, but landed really stern, like stunned him really bad several times. Obviously nothing awarded a knockdown or anything. But did very good nonetheless. I would say he looked improved in this fight from his last fight out. Who was it? Was it Hernandez in his last fight? And then before that was Imavov. Or is either the other way around? I can't remember. But looked good. But again, Marvin Vettori kind of on the downslope. Looks the same every fight. He doesn't look like he changes the game plan at all. Honestly surprised Allen didn't grapple more. Probably because Vettori was able to reverse him in the first round. So, but yeah, good fight nonetheless. I wonder if I don't think I got fight of the night. Probably Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier got it, but nonetheless, moving up the card. Headlining the prelims, we have Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. This I do want to check scorecards because I didn't check them. So we've got, I'm going to be honest. When I was watching this fight live, I'm like, I honestly have no clue who's going to get this. Like, I knew Kyler Phillips won the first round. Clear as day, like right in the beginning, hurts Vinicius Oliveira a couple times. Doesn't really drop him, but hurts him clearly. Oliveira almost doesn't seem able to like get his whereabouts. Towards the end of the first round, he's starting to do better, kind of like get his footing and whatnot. But that first round, clear round for Kyler Phillips. Second round, I think all three judges have the second and third round for Vinicius Oliveira. I don't think third round. Second round, yes, I would clearly give it to Vinicius Oliveira. Walking Kyler Phillips down hurts him. Throwing good body shots, good head shots as well. So clear second round for Vinicius Oliveira. Third round, the beginning, and I think this is probably why Oliveira got the nod in this one. The beginning of the round, Phillips was doing really good. Really good with the movement, similar to in the first round. Really good with landing the shots and evading Vinicius Oliveira. But towards the back half of that third round, Oliveira's really starting to take it up a notch. And even if Phillips is landing shots on him, it's not affecting him at all. He's continuing to walk forward. That constant pressure, moving forward, I think that really helped sway the judges in his towards his decision. And also, whenever he would land versus when Phillips would land, there was a big difference in the power in this fight. I really thought Kyler Phillips was going to be grappling more, going for the wrestling more. I think he did in the first round a little bit. Other than that, that was it. I think he got Oliveira down briefly in the first round as well. Didn't go for the grappling much. It was just, this fight was just Vinicius Oliveira outside of the first round for Phillips. The second and third round were just Oliveira marching Kyler Phillips down and getting the job done. Calls out Umar Nurmagomedov and Sean O'Malley. I don't know if the UFC is going to give him those fights. I would probably pick him to lose both of those fights, especially the Umar fight. I would not pick Vinicius Oliveira. Had his hands down at his waist side. I think Sean O'Malley would probably knock him out. And maybe Umar as well, if he wants to have his hands down. I could see Umar like landing a good kick and knocking him out. But nonetheless, got the job done over Kyler Phillips. Opening up the pay-per-view main card. I am very upset at myself. I didn't know that, I don't want to call him bad, but it's like, he's on this 2-fight skid right now. I was not expecting Michael Johnson to go out there and did what he did to Daniel Zellhuber. I think everybody gave him did everybody give? Yeah. So everybody, all three judges, the first 2 rounds for Michael Johnson and the last round for Daniel Zellhuber. I agree with that. First round was probably the most competitive. When I was watching it live, I'm like, I'm leaning Johnson, but I could 100% see the judges giving that round to Daniel Zellhuber. It was mainly just Daniel Zellhuber throwing kicks at the forearm of Michael Johnson because he's throwing a kick to the head. Johnson obviously has to block it, and that's what he was doing the whole fight, just slamming kicks into Michael Johnson. I'm honestly surprised he wasn't throwing him to the body. I don't know if he was afraid of getting taken down, like Johnson catching the kick, but I feel like, I really do, a better game plan would have been just slamming body or leg kicks over and over and over again for Daniel Zellhuber, getting Johnson to drop the arm, and then just slamming a head kick and knocking him out. Like, that seems like a pretty straightforward game plan. You got conventional versus southpaw. So, but first 2 rounds, Michael Johnson looked really good. Second round, drops Daniel Zellhuber. Kind of swarms him a little bit to get the finish, but didn't go too overzealous too much to gas himself out. Third round, even though, and Zellhuber recovered very quickly. Even though he lost the first 2 rounds, did come back in that third round, Johnson looked a little tired in that third round. Honestly, like, I don't want to say he coasted, but low-key kind of looked like he coasted a little bit through that third round. He was fighting, was moving forward, did a lot of body shots in this fight. I wish I had the stats of body shots. I don't think it's going to throw it or put it up here. But over all 3 of the rounds, Michael Johnson landing a lot to the body, probably trying to slow down Daniel Zellhuber. But in the end, Zellhuber picked up the third round, gets a loss over Michael Johnson. This is a decent win for Michael Johnson. He's talking about, making another run for the title. Anything can happen as far as, getting, maybe if he gets one more win, they'll throw him in there, somebody in the top 15. He's ranked before, maybe top 5, I can't remember. It's been a long time since he was in the rankings. I don't know. This makes me reevaluate, Daniel Zellhuber as a whole. I thought he was going to go out there. I thought it was going to be a competitive fight, but I thought, like I said before with the kicks thing, I thought he was going to be able to find that kill shot in the third round, get the knockout over Michael Johnson, but he just wasn't able to get it going. Moving up the card. This fight I'm not as surprised I got wrong. We got Dan Ige versus Patricio Pitbull. Pitbull wins. I think he won the first and second. Yeah. Third round was Dan Ige. I'm trying to remember that correctly. First round, I think it was in the first round. Pitbull, was it the first or second round he dropped Ige? I can't remember if it was the first or second round. I know first round Pitbull was able to implement some of the grappling, and that's pretty much what won in the first round. I thought they were both a little tentative on the feet at first. Pitbull was taking the edge, and then with the grappling, they gave him the first round. Second round goes out there and drops Ige. That clearly gave Pitbull the second round. And then third round, then Ige turns it up, is able to drop Pitbull with I think he was throwing a head kick, but kind of hit him with like the shin knee area when Pitbull was shooting in for a takedown. They kind of just timed it perfectly. And throughout this whole fight, Pitbull was able to work his grappling, and I think that's really what helped him win this fight. Obviously, he dropped Dan Ige in the second round, but I'm not surprised. It's like, this was was this the worst fight on the main card? Maybe. It was just kind of awkward, and they had like these weird lulls in action. They probably got the most boos out of all the fights. They definitely got the most boos out of all the fights on the main card. Not surprised Patricio Pitbull got it done. He was a multiple-time world champion in Bellator. I think the lankiness of Yair Rodriguez was too much for Pitbull, where Ige was a little bit more manageable opponent for Patricio Pitbull. So now he's a ranked featherweight. I honestly don't see him like going that far at featherweight. I really don't. I think him and Dan Ige are pretty even. Like, I think Pitt will probably float around that like 15 to like maybe top 8, and that's probably about it. But we'll see. Maybe he'll shock me. Maybe some of it's he's a 5-round fighter. He's used to fighting 5 rounds, having more time to work, and with only having 3 rounds in these past 2 fights, just needed a little bit more time to dial it in and got the win in this fight. So good for Pitbull. Gets himself in the rankings. Lack of going forward for Danny Ige is what cost him this fight. His coaches told him going into the third round he needed a finish. They're like, you definitely need the third round. You probably need a finish. I am tired of coaches telling their fighter like that they're doing good or they got it, or I think we got this round where it's pretty obvious while we're watching that fight that Dan Ige was down 2 rounds. He needed the finish in the third round. He almost got it at one point when he dropped Pitbull, but wasn't able to get the finish ultimately, and it cost him the fight. Moving up the card, probably the biggest upset on the entire card. Let's look at that. I want to really quickly. I think on paper, does this have the odds on here? It does. They were so disappointed they took the damn odds off. I honestly want to look at this card real quick. I need to really. I think that might be the biggest upset on the card. I really do. I'm not surprised by any of those ones. I was a little bit surprised. Like, I thought Daniel Zellhuber was going to go out there and, give no respect to Michael Johnson and go out there and just rush at him and get the knockout. I think ultimately I guessed third round KO for Daniel Zellhuber. Got that wrong. But I knew Michael Johnson had he's got the speed, and Daniel Zellhuber even said that. Oh, he's fast to his coach, to Eric Nixick. So I'm not 100% surprised that Michael Johnson won that fight. Not at all. He's got decent wrestling, decent jiu-jitsu, fast hands, good power. That showed in the fight. I'm not shocked that happened at all. This is one of those fights, like I was mentioning to you before. The Daniel Zellhuber fight. Okay? Where's another one? The Gaeter fight, how the fuck you say is the guy's name. The Islam fight. The Span fight. All those fights were given crappy opponents and, in theory, should have been gifted this win. They should have gotten the win. Like that, they were set up to get the win. And Kevin Holland absolutely fumbled the bag. We had Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez gets it done, I think via 29-28 decision, where Kevin Holland picks up the third round. First round was close. I might go back and rewatch it, just the first round. First round was close. Live, I scored it for Daniel Rodriguez. Second round drops Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland got dropped by Daniel Rodriguez. Third round, fumbles a finish. Knows he needs a finish. Fumbles the finish in the third round. Has Daniel Rodriguez hurt, fallen all over the octagon. Cannot finish him. Gasses out. Does enough to win the third round, even though Rodriguez, in the end of the third round, is in full mount on Kevin Holland. I think Kevin Holland went for a trip or a takedown, and Rodriguez ended up on top with 30, 45 seconds to go. Absolutely shit the bed in this performance. Daniel Rodriguez, again, is a ranked welterweight. Before, I can't remember who he beat to get ranked. It might have been the Leech. Loses it to Gary. I think that's who kicked him out of the rankings before, was Ian Gary. I'm 100% shocked. I did not think he would lose to an opponent of this caliber. I do not rate Daniel Rodriguez that high. If you were to do Vicente Luque versus Daniel Rodriguez, I would pick Vicente Luque. Even though he's lost to Kevin Holland, I would have picked Vicente Luque to beat Daniel Rodriguez. I would probably pick Neil Magny again to beat Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez is not that good. And Kevin Holland went out there and got... Honestly, I think what it was is he didn't take him serious at all. He probably thought that the UFC is getting him a layup opponent. He was going to go out there, he fights all loose and silly and go out there and get a highlight reel KO like he does with the lesser opponents, or a highlight reel finish. But that's not all what happened. Daniel Rodriguez, down to fight, does not, even if you drop him, gets back up, continues to fight, I don't see him staying ranked at welterweight at all. I'm sure they'll probably kick Kevin Holland out of the rankings. I don't have the... Let's pull him up. I don't see him staying ranked. I really don't. He didn't stay ranked that long beforehand. Of course, it's not going to fucking load. But absolute terrible performance from Kevin Holland. Not much else to say about that. Moving on, co-main event. Speaking about terrible performances, Roman Kopylov shit the bed versus Paulo Costa. Essentially, I think maybe the judges gave... I think the third round was a Kopylov. Was that all three judges? Nope, just one judge. One judge gave Kopylov... I gave Paulo Costa all 3 rounds. The new wave at middleweight, really, it's not even just at middleweight. A lot of these divisions, the old guard is keeping the new wave of fighters back. Not all the way, but, you know, you got flyweight. Tatsuro Taira lost. I'm trying to think. Oh, I can see his face. I can't think of his freaking name at featherweight. Oh, man. What is his name? Lopez. Why couldn't I think of his friggin' name? Lopez. Although he did beat Brian Ortega, couldn't beat old man Volkanovski. Same with this. We have Robocop as well with Jerry Cannonier. We have Paulo Costa and Roman Kopylov. Costa looked really good in this fight. His kicks were on point. Blasting leg kicks at Roman Kopylov the whole fight. Body shots good. Dropped Kopylov at least once, maybe twice. They got one knockdown here. I'm going to be honest. I wanted to, my gut was telling me to go with Costa. I really, for some reason, I'm like, man, I think Paulo Costa's going to win this. So I was thinking that to myself. But my heart's like, oh, Kopylov's got this easy. Costa's on a downslide. And Kopylov has really good kicks. I thought he was going to use his kicks. I did think he was probably going to gas out in the 3rd round. But I did not expect this. So, good, solid win from Paulo Costa. Gets back on back on track. Calls out Khamzat Chimaev. That fight's not going to happen. Maybe if Chimaev loses to Dricus du Plessis, that fight could happen. But I doubt he will. So that fight's probably not going to happen. But yeah, at least Paulo Costa's got a win. The secret juice continues on. Moving up the card. Main event. Another one I got wrong. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3 for the BMF belt. Yeah. Let's look at the scorecards. Okay. My scorecard, and I tweeted this out live, was either 5-0 Max or 4-1 Max. The only round that I would give to Dustin would be the 2nd round. So early in the 2nd round, Max drops Dustin and hurts him. Into the 2nd round, Dustin drops Max, but he's got him hurt worse than Max had Dustin. So if I was giving Dustin any round, it would be the 2nd round. Other than that, the other rounds were competitive, but they were clear for Max Holloway. He was landing up good shots, ripping to the body several times. He would go to the body 2 or 3 punches, then go up top. Stunned Dustin Poirier several times. Did he drop him again? He might have. I don't think they scored or gave him another knockdown. No, they didn't. But had him stunned several times throughout the whole fight. Very clear win for Holloway. Some of these judges, we got one judge gave the 3rd and 4th round to Poirier. One judge gave the 4th round to Poirier, and one judge gave the 2nd round to Poirier. So scorecards are kind of all over the place. The only thing they have in common is they all have Max Holloway the winner. I agree with that. Sad to see Dustin go out on a loss like this. Man, they gave everybody else on this card layups. Like Kevin Holland, they gave him a layup. Daniel Zellhuber. I don't like to call Michael Johnson a layup, but he almost has as many losses as he does wins. He's a layup. Just going back, layups. Come on, give Dustin Poirier a layup in his retirement fight. Give him Nate Diaz. Just do something fun like that. But nonetheless, very competitive fight for Dustin Poirier. I'm going to say Max's chin's not gone. He's still got a chin. Ilya didn't 100% finish him. Calls out Ilya to Poirier. I don't want to see that fight again. I'm thinking Max Holloway versus either Oliveira or Dan Hooker. I think that would be one of those would be fun fights. I'll think of something and put it together in my fights to make video. But yeah, Max Holloway wins. Dustin Poirier retires. Not surprised at all. I just thought Dustin would be able to turn it on for his retirement fight and really go out there and get a very dominant win over Max. Didn't, but good fight, great fight. Probably got fight of the night. I don't know. Let's see if it's on. Let's see if it's on here because I don't think it's on the website yet. Let's see who got it. Oh, it's not on here. Let's refresh the page. See if it's up here. Sometimes they put it on the website before they don't have it out here yet. They'll have the bonuses and whatnot on here. But nonetheless, UFC 318, better than I expected it to be. Solid event overall. I don't know if I've ever gotten a whole main card wrong before. Let me know in the comment section down below. How were your guys' predictions? Were they as bad as mine? Let me know down below. Make sure to subscribe if you guys are new. Drop a like on the video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.